When we retired in 2013, we decided to move to Ecuador as our next adventure. We loved the country, the culture, and the people, and lived there until 2021 when we moved to Hawaii. Ecuadorians love to party, and there are multiple festivals every month. Let's explore a small sampling of them here. We will cover less than half the annual festivals tonight in order to keep the presentation down to a rational length. Let's progress through the year. The first major festival is what is commonly called the Festival of Fools. It has some other official name, but I've never gotten the same answer twice when I asked. Originally, this was meant to commemorate when Herod decreed that all male children under 2 years old should be killed, after he had heard of the birth of Jesus. Historically, the parade consisted of men dressed in drag, representing the parents who disguised their baby boys as girls, and men in diapers, representing the targets of the attacks. It is now a free-for-all and much closer to a Halloween parade with lots of outlandish costumes and masks. It is now used as a major parade of political protest. In 2014, the leaders of the popular Cupeta Savings and Loan were convicted of money laundering, which resulted in this group feeding money into washing machines. In the same year, the president had a personal jet, which many objected to. McDonald's opened its first restaurant in 2013, and they were lampooned too. Chevron Oil left a mess in the Amazon after they left a drilling site, which is a sore spot among Ecuadorians. There are many vendors selling face painting to allow the audience to turn into ghouls or any other fantastic creature. Every parade is always accompanied by a variety of food carts to keep everybody well fed and happy. It is often hard to tell who is part of the parade and who is an audience member. The two groups intertwine all along the route. Let's see a few more examples of the people having fun. I could feel the soap melting in my ears after the vicious attack of El Diablinos, also known as the Little Devils, as we wandered into an unexpected battle zone. The godparent celebration had begun. This celebration, started in 2014, is part of a plan to rescue the traditions of Carnival and to strengthen tourism. Kids were forgiven bedtimes to stay up and attack all comers with all brands of Carnival silliness soap spray. Basically, it is an excuse to buy cans of spray foam or silly string and spray everyone in sight. Don't go near the park without taking your sense of childish delight with you on this night. The sense of fun seemed to be in ready supply as smiles and laughs filled the park all night. Pretty much everyone had at least one can of spray fun, and every attack was met with a vicious counterattack until everyone was covered in foam and smiles. Kids were having at least as much fun as their parents, some of the younger ones having the advantage of a higher plane of attack as they rode their fathers' backs. All had plenty of ammunition, though. Wherever our cameras were brought out, groups would instantly pose for the photographs. That didn't protect us from getting foamed, though, and we spent much time using a chamois cloth to wipe off the cameras and keep them working. And yes, we were in the thick of it all night. Here are images of Evelyn and me covered in foam. Carnival in Ecuador is biggest in the city of Ambato. The police route is first cleared of pedestrians by police arm in arm. Unlike the Cuenca Fools Parade, Ambato Carnival keeps the streets clear for the official parade members. I should note that police and Red Cross are always on hand for these events, but I have never experienced the slightest bit of trouble in the 8 years we have photographed these parades. The parade starts with various queens and Miss this and that waving from floats. Behind them comes a group of dancers. Then come individual performers. As always, food is plentiful. Clowns and mimes are interspersed in a group who stop briefly to entertain the audience further. Marching bands are also interspersed, providing music for the dancers. Even politics is a celebration and an event in Ecuador. They have an interesting election cycle that maybe the U.S. could learn from. No campaigning of any type is allowed until 30 days before the presidential election. Also, no person in office is allowed to campaign for anyone, including himself. Therefore, the president resigns 30 days before the election, and the vice president leads the country during that time. Parties are not known by names, such as Democrat or Republican. Rather, they are assigned numbers. Historically, this was done because there was a large percentage of citizens that could not read. Now that 93% of Ecuadorians are literate, this is no longer needed, but is kept as tradition. All posters and flags must be removed within 10 days after the election, or the government takes them down and fines the political party heavily for every sign removed. One day in Ambato, we finally had the chance to see our first, and probably last, bullfight. There were 3 bullfighters and 7 bulls. The star of the show was Manuel Escribano. He displayed a mastery of the bulls that was clearly above the others. Manuel turned to face the bull, kneeling in front of him, then standing and put his hand on the bull's head. The crowd erupted with "Toro! Toro! Toro!" as Emmanuel took his bow and the bull was led off to his pen. Not many places celebrate Corpus Christi as largely as Cuenca, Ecuador. This was originally an indigenous celebration of the June solstice, but was co-opted by the Catholic Church in the 1600s and turned into a Christian event. One of the highlights for many is the booths filled with sweets that line Park Calderon in the center of town for the entire week. The booths do a steady business as locals indulge in a huge variety of sugary candies. Personally, I have tried them, but find them way too sweet for my taste, so I steer clear. By the third day, these booths will also be teeming with honeybees that have found their way here for their own taste of sugar. It is a rare week when we cannot see fireworks from at least some of our windows at home. These firework castles burn every night during Corpus Christi. We'll talk more about them later. Alliance Française is an international group that promotes French culture and language. Their Cuenca branch puts on a massive music festival every year. The last one we attended had 33 stages and 83 bands playing non-stop for 2 days. There is very little tie-in to anything French, but there was music for everyone. Jazz, which is our favorite, rock, metal, rap, electronic, folk, and pretty much anything else you can think of. We offered to shoot some publicity photographs for the Alliance and received press passes giving us pretty much free access. We wandered from stage to stage and had a great 2 days of music. Here are a few of my favorite images of the 1993 that we shot and 50 that we provided to the Alliance. Mama Negra is a festival held in the town of Latacunga each year. The brief story of the festival is that Cotopaxi, the nearby volcano, was erupting in 1742 and threatened the town. One black slave went to the mountain and prayed for salvation of the town. When the volcano eruption ceased, the black slave became celebrated as the Black Mama. An important character of this celebration is the Huaco, or sorcerer. They wear papier-mâché masks with horizontal colors all over them and carry similarly colored sticks. They roam the parade route, picking out audience members to be cleansed of their evil spirits. Once singled out, 3 or 4 Huacos swarm over the audience member, waving their sticks and mumbling incantations. When complete, the person is cleaned of all evil spirits and of course expected to tip the Huacos for the service they performed. We found it surprising how many of the children here were covering their ears because of the high volume of the constant music and the rockets. Cuenca's Independence Day is November 3rd, which is the day the city declared independence from Spain. The battle for independence of Cuenca was held more than 200 years ago on November 3rd, 1820. Though the battle only lasted one day, in typical Ecuadorian fashion, the celebration lasts 3 days each year. It is full of activities spread throughout the city. After a typical parade with dancing groups and music, there was a go-kart race. These were all home-built carts, usually with a boy and father combination. The fathers push to get the carts going and often ride in the back for the first block. Then the street drops off rapidly and the fathers jump off as the carts pick up speed. The Cuenca Day Independence celebrations continues with a military parade, which opened with various first responder units, primarily bomberos, firefighters. The Ecuadorian light military arrived, including the Ecuadorian Special Forces and camouflage fatigue. Some with masks, some with repelling gear. Others were riding bicycles or motorcycles for urban maneuverability. The heavy artillery unit ended the parade, complete with bazookas, artillery, anti-missile rocket launchers, and anti-aircraft guns. The faces of these soldiers looked ready for a major war movie. The Festival of Lights kicks off the beginning of the Christmas season in Cuenca, in Plazoleta de Santo Domingo. Every year, shortly after sunset on December 7th, families gather in front of the Santo Domingo Church and light more than 5,000 lanterns in honor of Our Lady of the Rosary. Families enjoy shooting photos of the children in the candlelight. The lanterns are laid out in a pattern resembling the crown on the statue of the Virgin of the Rosary. As always, it is the families, along with young children, that are most entertaining to watch. 800 floats, 60,000 participants. What a parade! Every December 24th, the largest parade in Ecuador occurs in Cuenca. It is called the Paseo del Niño Viajero, or Parade of the Traveling Child. All the towns of Ecuador have such a parade, but Cuenca has the largest. It was estimated that this year there are 800 floats and 60,000 participants. That's quite an undertaking for a city of 400,000 people. The main star of the parade is a ceramic doll of the baby Jesus. It was taken to the Vatican and blessed by the Pope in 1961. When the priest returned with the doll, the local newspapers proclaimed, "The traveling child has returned," and the annual parade was born. Most costumes are religious in nature, and angels are a popular theme. Santa Claus is also popular, though. As with all parades, there was plenty of music and plenty of dancing. The military hands out free canalezo, a popular Christmas alcoholic drink. People can take as much as they wish, and some come with 2-liter soda bottles to fill up. The floats are mostly cars draped with cloth and decorations. There are plenty of adults in the parade, showing you can never be too old to get out and join a parade. This parade is really centered around the kids, though. They can be found in pretty much any appropriate costume, many on horseback, others walking, often in groups, and all wanting their photographs taken. Of course, it was a long parade, and some of the children got tired and took a nap, even while on horseback. New Year's Eve in Ecuador is unique, and they celebrate it like nowhere else we have experienced. For the week leading up to New Year's Eve, people make elaborate or simple effigies. Some families manufacture them and sell them to those who don't want to make their own. On New Year's Eve, people write notes about things they want to forget from the old year and attach them to the effigies, and then burn them at the stroke of midnight, banishing the old problems and allowing the new year to start off fresh. Various displays competed for prizes for up to $5,000 for the best displays, with the Amistad Club, friendship in English, dressed as clowns doing the judging. People wandered around town looking for the effigy displays. Many people drove around town at a snail's pace among the crowds, with their effigies tied to their cars. Of course, where there are outdoor parties, there are also food vendors. We had a delicious chicken kebab that cost $1.50. Masks and fireworks were on sale for anyone that wanted to join the fun. As evening approached, several people set up sky lanterns. People write their wishes for the new year, then fill a small platform with sticks and light it until it begins to float in the sky. The longer it stays flying, the more the deities are said to listen to the requests. These were actually outlawed in 2013 after one landed on a roof of a church and burned it to the ground. Many people ignore the law, though, and still send them up anyway. Fireworks also light up the sky once it is dark enough. As a private pilot myself, I fell in love with this effigy of an airplane from the Disney movie Planes. I bought it, took it home on the top of our car, then threw it into the bonfire at midnight. At the stroke of midnight, bonfires were created to burn all the effigies, along with the notes of what people wanted left behind. Some wrote smoking, or alcohol, or unemployment, or sometimes even a person's name. Some of these bonfires were huge, with flames that made it hard to approach closer than 20 or 30 feet. Others were smaller, with only a few family effigies. People would take running jumps over the smaller ones, since it is said that if you successfully jump over it 3 times, you will have luck in the new year. Of course, some of the effigies were stuffed with firecrackers, and firecracker enemas are a common hospital ER entry reason for every New Year's Eve. Every major festival in Cuenca includes at least one castle. Castles are bamboo towers up to 20 feet tall, with an array of fireworks on them. There are sirens, pinwheels, Roman candles, and waterfall fireworks. Most castles burn for about 10 minutes until they are exhausted. People stand very close to these fireworks, sometimes even standing in the falling sparks to get their picture taken. One of the surprising things about Cuenca is how clean it is. Litter is almost unheard of, and within minutes of a parade passing, the streets are spotlessly clean, with no evidence that thousands had paraded there just minutes before. This is because of what I call the Green Army. There are roughly 1,000 city employees who constantly roam the streets to pick up litter and follow every parade to make sure the streets are kept clean. This is the view from our penthouse condo in Cuenca, overlooking the domes of the new cathedral. I have covered fewer than half of the annual festivals in Ecuador, with only a small sampling of the 80,000 photos I took in the 8 years we lived there. Here's a list of some of the other festivals. When we were fairly new to Ecuador, I came unexpectedly across a parade. I asked a local shop owner that I knew spoke English what the parade was for. His response? Could be a wedding, could be a divorce, who knows? Ecuadorians parade for everything and anything.